Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Manohar Radha Manohar Radhe Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Gaura Kiranande Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Samasta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Surabhyai Namah Om Surabhyai Namah Om Surabhyai Namah Mukam karoti vasalam pangom langayate girim yat kripa tamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinataram Yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Jai Sri Prabhupada ki. It is very wonderful to see. I mean, ISKCON Montreal Temple is already beautiful. It has become even more beautiful with all the nice decorations, and what makes it even more beautiful are all the devotees who are present here as well. So welcome to all the devotees attending the Sunday Feast program as well as the Kirtan Mela for the last few days. Donc bienvenue et merci à tous les niveaux qui sont présents pour le festival du dimanche ainsi que le festival des chants des Saints-Noms. Okay. Competition, grand. So, my name is Bhakti Raghava Swami, and I was immensely fortunate to be sitting here 51 years ago when His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, and Samir Prabhu was here also on August the 10th, 1975. Srila Prabhupada was giving a class right here. This was the second visit of Srila Prabhupada in Montreal. You had met Prabhupada, I believe, also in the early days, possibly, 1968. 71, okay. Prabhupada was here, of course, in Montreal, 1968. ISKCON Montreal is one of those rare, few, fortunate temples where a personality like His Divine Grace came, set his foot in the city of Montreal, set his foot in the temple. He stayed, Prabhupada, when he came in 1975, stayed only one day. Stayed only one. He was supposed to stay a little longer, but he had to go back to India or some other engagements he had. We are all extremely fortunate because the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, introduced 500 years ago, has taken a new dimension through the activities taken up by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, and those same activities, of course, continue today. There's a very famous statement, prayer. There are many. It's very appropriate, especially for those who are from India. You've heard it many times, and I want to repeat it again because it's so important. Bharat bhumite hoila manusya janamajar janma sarthak kori kora pada upakar. These two last lines are very important. Janma sarthak kori. Janma, birth. Those are fortunate to be born in the land of Bharatvarsha. And of course, Bharatvarsha is not only India, it's the entire planet. We have two missions, two responsibilities in life. And it's extremely important for all of us to know this, number one, and secondly, to actually execute or take up these two missions of life. Nous avons deux missions dans la vie, telles que indiquées par le Seigneur Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that first mission is to individually, personally, properly utilize this human form of life, which is very rarely obtained, as mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Bahunam janmanam mante jnanavam mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudolabha. Sudolabha, very, very rare. And it is only when we are getting this kind of opportunity to meet not only a sadhu, not only guru. Srila Prabhupada was not ordinary sadhu, not ordinary guru. He was especially empowered. Kali Yuga, Yuga Dharma, Harinama Sankirtan, Krishna Shakti Vinanahe Tara Pravartan. Krishna Shakti, without receiving the mercy, the power, without becoming empowered by Krishna, it is not possible to introduce and spread the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the first duty, the first mission in life for all of us is to take seriously, understand how rare it is to obtain this human form of life. And the second is connected with what I want to speak about in the short few minutes that I have. Janma sartakari kora para upakar. Para upakar means performing what is meant to be the highest welfare activity in the world. And that highest welfare activity, of course, is to, in different ways, give an opportunity to others. The more we understand how we are fortunate to have come in contact with this knowledge of Bhakti, devotional service, to know about Krishna, then we should be eager to give that opportunity to others. So there are 4 ways Prabhupada identified. It's very important for all of us. Anyone who's connected with the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, we should know that there are 4 major ways, and of course one of those ways is being performed whenever in our temples we have the chanting of the holy name. Jai Shri Gauritai Ki, Jai Shri Radha Manohar Ki, and Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi Ki. So Prabhupada, I think last time I was here probably mentioned, but it's good to remind, and for those who may not know, there are 4 ways. I want to focus on the 4th way, but I'll just mention the first 3. And the first is in reference to chanting the holy name, either individually, personally, or going out on Harinam, as well as distributing these transcendental literatures. You know, Srila Prabhupada gave his life every early morning, as we know. He would spend 3-4 hours when everyone else was sleeping, when everyone else was in Maya. Prabhupada was giving us his, what he later referred to as transcendental ecstasies. The purports of his divine grace are full of such realizations, personal, individual realizations, and also sharing what other acharyas have also realized in their commentaries of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the first is connected intimately, and they go hand in hand. The chanting of the holy name and distribution of transcendental literatures. That is ongoing, needs to continue, will continue as well. The other one is establishing temples. I mean, we got this wonderful building when Prabhupada was still physically present, and it continues to give that opportunity to so many devotees and newcomers to be introduced to Krishna. The third, which is also ongoing, to give training, education to those who come in contact with this knowledge, information, so that they can become more expert, more committed, and become actually part of this eternal spiritual family that we call Krishna consciousness. And I want to zero in on the fourth one, and I'll just present a few slides. There is, actually when I was here earlier this year, we had not yet started. This is kind of like a global initiative that was launched on the 7th of May, so just a few months ago, to bring in the forefront what is called this very important theme. And hopefully by the end of the short presentation, most of you will hopefully understand something of why this is so important. The theme of Make Vrindavan Villages. So the fourth movement Prabhupada actually identified as, he called it Daiva Varnashrama Dharma. And in our Vedic context, Vedic culture, this is called Vedic sociology. How society is meant to be organized so that we can get the maximum opportunity, maximum facilities to actually advance and progress in Krishna consciousness. So I'm just going to present these, what I have coined as foundational concepts. There's a book that we put together. Actually, this is like the introduction, a series of seminars that have been put together. That book will be available outside after the presentation. 5 seminars that deal with important concepts which are very urgently needed for us to understand and to introduce in society today. And before understanding this, there are the following 5 points which all of us who are members of ISKCON should try to understand and to apply in our lives as well. The first is, as Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya sadhuskritam dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. One of the reasons I descend in the material world is to re-establish the principles of dharma. What we generally not sufficiently understand is that dharma needs to be understood and put into practice on 2 levels, because we are dealing every moment of the day with 2 aspects: the spiritual aspect of the soul, Atma, within the body, and also the material aspect of this material nature, this material body, and the material world. So we'll look at this very briefly. Second principle to understand is that our eternal Vedic culture that we call Sanatan Dharma is intimately, directly, very closely connected with agrarian lifestyle. And Prabhupada, in the last, many years before coming, we're in America now, before coming to America, he spoke about this whole aspect of lifestyle. And a few weeks, just 2 weeks before leaving his body while in Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada also reminded us of the importance of introducing this lifestyle that he referred to as Varnashrama. And we will understand why when we look at the third concept, which is connected with what is called the three gifts of nature. Hopefully some of you will remember. I touched on that last time. And the fourth is how we are meant to rebuild or reintroduce and manifest Vedic culture. Because Vedic culture, Vedic knowledge is very scientific knowledge. Actually, anything that is eternal is scientific. Anything that is eternal is perfect. Krishna consciousness is a perfect philosophy. Krishna's social system of Varnashrama is a perfect social arrangement. And the last concept is in regards to what I just explained a few minutes ago, these four different phases in which we are meant to perform this para upakara. See, unless we are understanding that there's a mission in life, and for devotees of Krishna consciousness, there are two missions, as I tried to explain. Our individual personal mission in terms of everyday performing what is called sadhana, practicing, endeavoring to advance in Krishna consciousness, endeavoring to elevate our consciousness, purify our consciousness. And then secondly, to assist personalities like His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, in this global mission of making this knowledge available to as many people as possible, giving the opportunity to as many people as possible. Otherwise, what happens is we simply will remain in this material world and continue this practically unending repetition of birth and death. So the first, as we mentioned here, the material level. Prabhupada explains how, it's up there, right? Yeah. Okay. On the bodily platform, Swadharma is called Varnashrama Dharma, or man's stepping stone for spiritual understanding. And our acharyas explain how, if one wants to be considered as an advanced human being, he must adopt these principles of Varnashrama Dharma. That I will explain in a few minutes a bit more clearly. And secondly, on the spiritual platform, we must understand that we are that eternal spirit soul, the essence of our activity meant to be connected with bhakti or devotional service. Now, the second aspect is in terms of, for those who may be less familiar, agrarian. What does agrarian mean? Living in harmony with nature. Yeah, agrarian means connected with the land. Connected with what is called the three gifts of nature, which are mentioned here. What are the three gifts of nature? Cows, land, and knowledge, cultivation of knowledge. You see, not so long ago, practically speaking, everyone in the world, practically in all the different countries of the world, people were much more closely connected with nature, with our own nature and also with what we call Mother Nature. People were living in villages, people were growing their own food, people were more in touch with what we call the principles of Dharma. Srila Prabhupada tried to explain this, well, he did actually, in many ways, many times as well, how modern way of living, modern day urban development in particular, what we call modernization, where we are kept away from the basics of what the Vedic culture is presenting, is actually going against these principles of dharma. I know that initially, especially if one is hearing this possibly for the first time or even second time, it may not resonate immediately. I would, however, request all of you to try and understand why Srila Prabhupada spent so much time speaking and explaining this whole aspect. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, of course, is our main, in addition to Bhagavad Gita, main literature where all of these different instructions are being presented as well. So Prabhupada makes a very important statement. He's actually describing the pastime of Grandfather Bhishmadev. Grandfather Bhishmadev is a great authority on the principles of dharma. And Grandfather Bhishmadev, when he is on his bed of arrows, he is giving instruction to Yudhisthira Maharaj. And the very first instruction he gives is actually not a spiritual instruction. He gives him or underlines the importance of living according to these principles of Varna and Ashrama. And Srila Prabhupada, in that very interesting purport or explanation, he tells how the more we do this, the more we adopt these principles of dharma, then this helps to accelerate the development of our spiritual qualities, isn't it? And so these are the three gifts of nature. Most of us are actually disconnected with these three gifts of nature because we are no longer living in villages. We're not interacting with Mother Nature, we're not interacting with cows, and therefore we're losing out in ways that we can see around the world are causing great destruction and disruption as well. And the fourth is connected with how to reintroduce, how to know, how to understand, and that is called the four Vedic sciences. So all of this is actually presented in this particular book that is called Make Vrindavan Villages. There are devotees in different countries that are introducing this aspect, this dimension. Srila Prabhupada considered that this was still 50% of his unfulfilled mission. Practically speaking, all of the different major global problems that we have today in the world, and I think everyone can attest to the fact that the world at present is in a very critical condition. The main reason being that we are disconnected with these principles of dharma. There is an urgent need and necessity for all of us. It is meant to be a part, very important aspect of introducing Krishna consciousness all over the world. Just recently means that earlier this year, I was traveling in Ukraine in one of our communities called New Mayapur, where the devotees actually introduced what is one of the important instructions given by Srila Prabhupada, Varnashrama College. So Varnashrama College is where in our different temples one begins to introduce these different instructions, given by Srila Prabhupada. So my humble request, actually, last time I was also mentioning the importance of all of the instructions, all of the major instructions given by our founder Acharya are actually found in this particular book, speaking about Varnashrama. Many devotees are less familiar with this whole ideology, and my humble request is that devotees take a little bit of time to learn about this important dimension and aspect of our mission, that it is very much an integral part of the mission given to us by our founder Acharya. We should try to understand how this is explained by our Acharyas as well. To be successful in life, a disciple or a follower of the Vedic culture must try to understand more clearly and must introduce and practice in his life what is considered the essence. This is very much part of the essence. In other words, there are two levels of what we call essence, means what is most important. On the spiritual aspect, practicing our Krishna consciousness means practicing this science of bhakti, devotional service. And on the material level, it's also extremely important to reintroduce these principles that actually make up our Vedic culture. Prabhupada spoke very strongly about our present day misguided society. And therefore, this is a humble plea. I'm traveling actually with another devotee to different temples and to different countries, basically trying to bring this awareness to as many devotees as possible. And again, as I mentioned, we have this information now in a booklet form available at the beginning here. The topic is not so easy to initially understand, but we should know that our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada spoke on this many times and gave specific instructions that we should introduce these principles as well. So we have a few minutes possibly for any question that might be there related to what we've tried to present a little bit today. Yes. Yes, Is there a mic? To speak. Parle un peu avant. Essayez de parler fort. Quelqu'un peut répéter?
She wants to know if all the teaching, which is including this Varnashrama, is it applicable, all applicable, or there will be some adjustment to
If it's, okay, si c'est pour tout le monde ou c'est pour que... is there applicable today or not? No, it is very much applicable today. Just like Prabhupada, he would say, we should reintroduce the bullock cart. Now, most of us will say, well, you know, the bullock cart? As a matter of fact, devotees, Prabhupada disciples, they responded and they asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, is this really practical, the bullock cart? And Prabhupada said, yes. You know why? Because now you know, most people have cars, and we live in a world where we travel every day with the help of all kinds of machines, without knowing and realizing. I mean, look at what's going on today with, you know, the war in Iran, and with all the prices of petrol going up, you know. Prabhupada said that the motor car civilization will last 50 years. He said that about 50 years ago. We take so many things for granted, but actually we're living a very artificial lifestyle, which will not continue, which cannot continue because it is artificial, it is unsustainable. We are living in a world of illusion. Of course, that's part of our philosophy, but modern day whole setup is like the United States of America, which has less than 5% of the population in the world, is utilizing some 30% of the natural resources in the world. And we're all meant to become like that nation. It doesn't work. It doesn't equate, isn't it? So we are actually destroying our planet. We have already destroyed in many different ways. We're a very destructive society. Modern civilization, so-called civilization, is actually very destructive. The more we destroy nature, we destroy ourselves, isn't it? So all of these instructions given in the Shastra, given by our acharyas, even though we may not be able to understand them, even though we may think initially that this is not really practical, all of those instructions are extremely important and are meant to be reintroduced. We have an opportunity now. It will not be there for a long time. We have an opportunity now to voluntarily introduce these changes. And if we do not do that, nature, Krishna through nature, through the laws of nature, will force us. We will again be forced, because Mother Nature, you know, just look at the news. I mean, there's all kinds of Mother Nature, the earth, the land, this planet is not just matter, it's a living entity. This body, when we start to misuse and abuse our body, then, you know, we develop a fever or we develop different diseases, etc. Our whole planet right now is in a dire condition. There are, you know, floods, there are all kinds of catastrophes taking place, and this is simply going to increase because we are going against the laws of nature. And we may think that it's not at all practical to go back to the land, but we're going to be forced to do that because as it is now, you know, Prabhupada explained how the whole modern setup, modern civilization is a doomed civilization. It's like we are trying to awaken people to what we call Krishna consciousness. We need to understand that this is very much part of Krishna consciousness, you know. If we neglect this body, we cannot perform devotional activities, isn't it? And if we neglect the laws of nature, if we go against the laws of nature, which we're doing, then this has a direct bearing and effect on our individual lives as well. And therefore, as Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur would sing, you know, Jeev Jago, it is important for all of us to become more awakened to these two dimensions. That's why Sanatana Dharma needs to be really properly understood. You know, Dharma doesn't simply mean chanting the holy name and performing devotional service. That is, of course, essential. But Dharma means also how to properly deal with and interact with the resources of nature, how to live in harmony with nature. Otherwise, when we don't, it has all kinds of negative and destructive effects in the world, which is, of course, having a direct bearing and effect on us as well. Any quick last comment, question? We'll take one here, yeah? Yes. Getting close to the mic is good. The mic is there, but...
I'll just talk about this.
Hey, somebody take this and give it.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Yes.
Nice to see you again. Can you please elaborate on the number 2, the science of for Brahmanas? Can you please elaborate on that one? And also, are there any modern sciences which are compatible with the science for Brahmanas?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Science for Brahmanas, that means science of education, right? Science of education. See, in the Vedic culture, because these are seminars, so they require a fair amount of time to actually go more deeply into the subject matter. Most of us, actually, we don't understand what is Vedic education. At best, when we think about Vedic education, we think about Gurukula, which is, of course, that particular academic training to actually give the proper understanding and education for someone to become a Brahmana. But the science of education is not only for Brahmanas. As a matter of fact, for the majority of people, the science of education is not meant to be in school. Education in the Vedic culture for the majority of people is not in school, because the majority of people are not meant for academic education. You can read about this in the 10th canto, 10, 11, 37 to be precise. That chapter describes the daily activities of Krishna. What is Krishna's daily activity when he reaches the age of 6? That's described in that verse. Krishna is given the responsibility of looking after the calves. Krishna and Balaram, every day with their friends, they go to different forests of Vrindavan with the small calves. Prabhupada explains, this is Vedic education. Non-formal education, or we call in modern day society, vocational training, vocational education. So in the Vedic culture, that's why village life is, in village life are hidden treasures. What is hidden? The science of education is hidden actually in village life. The science of economy is hidden in village life. When we don't live in villages, we don't know about proper education, and we don't know about what is proper, the proper science of economy, isn't it? Vedic economy is described in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishi Goraksha Vanijam, Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam, isn't it? So it takes, as I mentioned, takes a little bit of time, but all of this knowledge is meant to be introduced gradually, and that's why Prabhupada spoke about an educational institution that he called Varnashrama College, that he wanted in all of our different temples to actually be introduced. So we could elaborate more, but I think the time is not there. And you want to ask a question? Okay, well, let's you ask a question. There's a mic. Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj, for the wonderful talk. Hare Krishna. I wanted to ask if you could expand on Vedic politics. Often in today's society, we see that there are so many politicians, world leaders who are corrupt and who are misusing and abusing the entire globe. So, I guess, how can devotees and people who follow Sanatana Dharma, how can they try and work towards an environment where Vedic politics actually exists?
Yes.
Thank you much.
So you're talking about Vedic politics, is it? Yeah, correct. So, you see, in as much as Vedic education is unknown, Vedic politics means the science of governance is unknown largely, because in the Vedic culture, there are three individuals who are meant to be the natural leaders in society, beginning with the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas are natural teachers, the natural leaders. The Kshatriyas, what we call politicians, they're also leaders. And the third category of leaders are the Vaishyas. Anyone who has people depending on him, he is a leader. So in the Vedic culture, Vedic culture emphasizes the need to train such leaders and also to train followers. On the one side, you need to have trained leaders. On the other side, you need to have trained followers. Just like you need to have a qualified teacher, and then you need to have a qualified student, isn't it? Or a qualified spiritual master, qualified disciple. So all of this knowledge is actually given in the Bhagavad Gita. And there's a book, very important book, there are many of them, the Kautilya Arthashastra, which is the science of governance by Chanakya Pandit. And there are many important principles that can be applied today. And we need to introduce this knowledge and this science and this training. And actually, until and unless we do that, we will not be able to bring about the changes in connection with Varnashrama, because Varnashrama changes are meant to be introduced by Kshatriyas. When we don't train Kshatriyas, we don't have individuals qualified to bring about the changes that are needed in society. Most of the leaders in modern day society have not received this training, and therefore there's so much of corruption and so much of destruction, etc. like that. Yeah, that's a big subject matter, and that is addressed specifically when we introduce, there's a whole curriculum. There are faculties within the Varnashrama college that are in keeping with these four major sciences. One last question before we finish, or behind her. Wait at the end.
Maharaj, it's another question.
Yes.
Okay. Just that you know that sometimes superficially we think, how can we go to bullet cart?
Yeah.
This is very superficial.
At 7:10 they have prasad distribution.
Huh?
At 7:10 they will start prasadam. 7:10.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you have 2 minutes.
Okay. I'll take 1 minute and a half.
Yeah. No, take.
So,
take
just
two.
that you know that there is 25 major companies in America this month. They are leaving aside thousands of people will have no more work.
Yeah.
Major company,
Yeah.
40,000 employees.
Overnight.
Yeah, the last few days. So these people, they will have to have work without their security, financial.
Yeah.
So just to let you know that we don't have much time to waste. We should really be very serious. Just like us, where we are, we have 4 cows.
Right.
And we don't have the land to feed them, so we have to buy the place just beside us as another close to 100-acre land.
Correct.
This is something that we could invest in.
Yes.
But we don't know who to speak with.
Yes, yes.
So this is a time for organization. So it's time to consider talking to each other. So please do that.
Good. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Okay, can I have back the mic? Yeah. So we are ending now because I'm told that in less than 30 seconds, prasadam will be served, which should be of interest to everyone. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki.
Maharaj, you can announce that books are at the entrance.
Yes. And this book, as I mentioned, is at the entrance for devotees to have a look at. Thank you very much. Very well.